welcome back to Krown's Magical. I forgot to say good morning. I fucked it up.
Can you get on with it, please?
I forgot what to say.
Get out! She's out. I'm fucking in. It's time to
Welcome to the Derp Cave.
There we go. Well. Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. I want to welcome all the new people here. Had a nice little interview with Mr. Elliot from Elio Trades last night, and that means that we have to warn everyone, all the new people here. Hey, we speak fast. We talk a lot of shit. We say a lot of bad words, but the intention is never negative, of course. Never negative. But and we also have a hyena in this cave too, so watch out for that. There's plenty to hate about this place, so I completely understand if you're just finding this place new here from that interview last night, then all good, but it's going to be for some people, not for other people. Anyways, with that said, we do have plenty to talk about today because we do have the end of the quarter, end of the bi-month, or not bi-monthly, but bi-monthly is actually ending, but also the bi-yearly, more importantly, the bi-annual, if you will. Or the semi-annual, yeah, that's how you say it. Anyways, lot to discuss today. Yeah, man, really enjoyed that. I'm a humongous fan of Elliot and a few other guys as well, man. I really like that whole crew, man. They're solid guys. Elliot, Crypto Zombie, Kevin Swenson, shit, man. There's a lot of them actually. Who are doing the old news there. Anyways, let's see what we got going on right now as far as the Krown Chain application goes, which we found at app.krownchain.net. By the way, it is 100% free, and we have even more new additions coming in on top of what we just added a couple days ago. Anyways, with that said, we do see Bitcoin dominance hitting around our area that we were looking for, 51% of which that is implying that we are continuing with this uptrend. And while I would be looking for maybe a little bit of a pullback from this region, I would still be looking for the trend to continue until essentially it doesn't. So we did hit that target. So essentially the narrative now is pull back a little bit, and then we'll see if we want to have another continuation. In fact, today would be a good day to check in on the Bitcoin dominance chart. Also, Fear and Greed Index still heavily in the fearful zone, actually at 25, even after Bitcoin did close a nice, clean, girthy green dildo above $35,000, which is of some significance. But more importantly, everything really hinges on tonight's closure. That's going to help really solidify a lot of my biases for the next quarter to come, realistically, and whether I'm looking for perhaps perhaps a macro low or perhaps macro continuation to new lows. So a lot's going to be decided tonight, and of course we will be talking about more or less the short-term timeframes today, because the high-term timeframe analysis is more or less unchanged from the long-term analysis playlist that we updated not this past weekend, but the weekend prior to that. So you're welcome to check that out at any moment that you do desire. But other than that, let's go into the market data tab, see if we can find anything of particular interest over here. I want to check out the global funding rate, of which we do still see it just barely positive. It's not going to give us any humongous bias right here. Of course, if it was more or less on the negative side, as what we did see on the global scale for the past week consistently, it would be a good decision it'd be a good sort of underlying market dynamics supporting that Bitcoin probably does put in a higher low here on the short-term timeframes and march its way up to the top side of the range. But we don't really have anything that's too obvious for right now. The other thing is that it's obviously not like super positive, which is not really going to give us, all that much. So we're kind of splitting hairs. As far as global liquidations go, yesterday was a pretty quiet day, actually. Not anyone getting liquidated. Hey, that's a nice day now, isn't it? But other than that, do we have anything to be aware of right here? Open interest is slightly trending up. Yes, we are at a slightly new high, as far as the range goes, but we're not breaking out of the range. And as you can see right here on this chart, and again, the numbers have changed. If you've noticed, the numbers certainly have changed since we made the new update. That's because all of the data now on our quant statistics here is 100% verified. So, there's a lot of like wash trading, a lot of, not so altruistic players in the game who can kind of, what's called manipulate this data. But now that we have it coming from our provider that we do, it is 100% verified. So that is why the numbers did change. But in this case right here, you can see very easily that the range is essentially about 4.75 billion with a B to the upside versus about 3.5 billion to the downside, essentially. So I want to see a break of that range. Realistically, I want to see it break to the upside of that range in coinciding with another macro move outside of the daily range, which would essentially be about $40,000 to the upside versus about $32,000 to the downside. So with that said, we're still kind of undecided right there. I think that we're gonna have to wait until essentially probably like middle of July, if I had to guess. Anyways, do we see anything on this particular on this page over here that I want to add on to that? Not really, but I do want to highlight this for a second here. This is really interesting to me. So realized cap. All right, so let me explain what realized cap is first. By the way, there are little tooltips on the Krown Chain application now, which will tell you whenever you want. But basically, it is a stored value of Bitcoin calculated by summing up each Bitcoin at the price when it was last moved. So you can essentially look at this as how many people are trapped in shitty positions for a long period of time. And what do you know? We do see that most people have an average price maybe not so funny for them, in the mid 50s actually. So there's a lot of upside pressure, we could say, a lot of pressure above current price action. So I do still think that it is, whether you're bullish or bearish, if Bitcoin does move to the upside from here, I'm not necessarily convinced that this is like the move, so to speak. If Bitcoin is going to put in a macro low here, it probably comes over the course of the next couple months. There is no real rush into long-term positions, as I've been saying for about a month and a half now, and I'd be saying pretty much the same thing today as well. Anyways, as far as the other metrics go, we can see that the fear and greed index over here still healthily in the fearful zone, which makes sense. Bitcoin essentially ranging on the lows, and Bitcoin dominance, you can see very, very easily right here, is continuing with the trend to the upside as well. So I do like all of that. Other than that, there's not really too many new things to be speaking about because the last few days has been very quiet as far as the higher term timeframes go. And with that said, I think it's time to get into the actual price of the charts themselves. So with that in mind, let's start off with the monthly here. It is the end of the month. It's also the end of the bi-monthly, the quarterly, and the semi-annual close as well. And we have a couple of very, very easy things to be kind of watching now, at least from what I've been looking at, that can kind of give me the further bias coming into basically the end of this year as to whether I could potentially be looking for a macro low in this $30,000 range or not. And the first and most easiest one, and probably just the easiest kind of put in your blinders right now, would be the Cyan 9 exponential moving average on the monthly. Now, anytime that we have been essentially in a long-term bull market, we like to, well, not we, but Bitcoin, because this is an inanimate object, it's not a fucking person, so let's maybe use different terminology for it. But anytime that we do essentially close above it, more or less good, or Bitcoin closes above it, I just did it again, damn it. And of course, when Bitcoin breaks below it, it's not necessarily like, your immediate death sentence, but over time, typically things do fall apart, as you see right here, as you see right here, as you see right here, and over here as well. By the way, this was when Bitcoin was literally in the single digits, about $6.50. And right now, we're literally right on that precipice. Yesterday, we were a few bucks above, actually, at about 36,300-ish region. So barring a little bit of a downside closure today, that could very easily make me look to be a seller on any potential rallies coming into July and August. And that, again, would not necessarily mean that Bitcoin can't rally up. It just means that I'd be looking to be a seller of those rallies, essentially. Anyways, throw this back on right on over here. And the other big thing that I want to keep an eye on is of course, the accumulation distribution indicator, of which, remember, my bad, in May, we did get a positive slope on this. Or sorry, we maintained our positive slope, but we increased the curvature of the positive slope, which is generally a good thing. It would imply accumulation. What I really want to see, though, for this month of June, which we're going to get a new tick on this tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time, is I want to see if this slope is maintained. If we get a negative slope, bad. I would also look at that as a good sign that this whole last month has just been essentially redistribution. And while Bitcoin can chop around this range for a little bit longer, maybe even putting a rally into the $40,000 territory, I would be looking for that to get, well, absolutely shit on, basically. And on top of that, if we are going into the more, actually, should I do that right now? No, let's actually go to the quarterly and the semi-annual close here too. And what are we looking at on the quarterly? The quarterly actually doesn't look all that bad to me, to be quite honest with you. The reason why I say that is because I look at this first and foremost as a backfill on last quarterly open and back up. And while it's probably unlikely we do close above the top side Trollinger band today, that would be about 39,140, then I would be looking at that, or sorry, if we could fulfill that condition, I would be looking at that as another obvious indication that Bitcoin probably has put in a macro low within this $30,000 region and marches on to new all-time highs, around the end of the year. For right now, though, we are healthily below. It's not a death sentence in and of itself, but it kind of does help curtail any sort of current FOMO implications. Sir, are you okay right now? You okay? Elsa's having a laugh attack here. Anyways. Oh, the comments are really good today. That's great. That's excellent. Anyways, we got the hyena back there, so watch out, everyone. And yeah, there she goes. Anyways, a lot of people ask if Elsa's laugh is real. It's definitely real. I can assure you of that. It's not fake. Anyways, it's like we have fucking canned laughs or something here. No, not probably not. We don't have that level of production here. Anyways, look, you step into this fucking cave at your own peril. That's what I'm warning you right now. Anyways, looking at this quarterly right here again, it's not a death sentence close below the topside Trollinger band. It would just make it a lot easier to identify a quarterly, essentially like a what's it called? A general continuation phase on this if it were to close above, which right now, again, for reference, we are about $4,000 below. It's right there, right around about $39,000, and again, closing tonight. So this is maybe a little bit less likely to happen, to be quite honest with you, but it is of interest. Obviously, Bitcoin were to pump there before end of closure tonight, then that would be another good indication. Bitcoin is very likely put in a macro low, or is going to put in a macro low in this $30,000 territory. And then, of course, we got the semi-annual close here as well, and that looks like absolute shit. So we're just gonna pretend pretend that this does not exist. It didn't happen. Just look into the fucking little light like Men in Black, and you can forget all of this ever happened. It was all just figment of your imagination. But yeah, this chart looks like shit right there. Anyways, sorry, had to shit on it somehow, man. Can't just be all roses and sunshines and rainbows, and I can't even speak. Anyways, bi-monthly is actually not really helping me out too much right here. Again, same thing kind of to the upside, but yeah, I don't really have anything to add right there. Anyways, we'll go back on to the three major things that I'm looking for to denote a major low, a macro low perhaps. Actually, it would be a macro low in my experience for Bitcoin, of which do we have the first and most important one for them? No, we don't. So there's no macro low as of right now, obviously. Now, this is going to print after the low anyways, but it gives me the bias that we actually have seen very likely a macro low. And do we have a blue buy signal on this just yet? No, we do not. The moving averages on this continue to diverge from each other, so it's still going to take a little bit of time. Now, we do have a difficulty adjustment, I think, in like 2 or 3 days from now, so maybe like around the end of the week, Thursday, Friday, whatever it ends up being. So these will very likely be brought in a lot closer to each other. Oh shit, there he is. Mr. Carney's back at it. What's up, man? Elsa noises, giggles, sneezes, kitchen utensils, washing plates. Pick your poison. That's exactly right, man. Pick your fucking poison and just grind the nails on the chalkboard is what I have to deal with every day. Just kidding, baby. I love you. All right. Anyways, looking at this right here, obviously we do not have a higher low on price action as well on the daily, so that is, condition number 2, also not fulfilled. And if we go over here to our volatility chart, or just our chart that has volatility on it, if we go over to a daily, are we still trending down? This is good. I want to see this come down to the single digits, so it's still a game of waiting. Whether you're bullish or bearish, if you are the long-term investor type, the sort of picture that I want to paint right now is that there's really no rush to get into position because we have not solidified this as a macro low. And while things, probably do even try, another upside move, I don't think that there's any rush to get into it until we have at least those 3 things in place. And if that is and if that does happen, then yeah, I'll probably look for a long-term long position perhaps. But until then, things are a little bit hotly contended right here. You can see that we did get rejected right at the point of control for the volume profile. And going over the last day's price action, we did hit our 30. I can't speak. By the way, you're also gonna be pissed off at that too, man. I should warn you. Anyone who's new here, I should definitely warn you about that too. I fuck up my speech all the time. I have dyslexia, and well, it's undiagnosed, but I'm also autistic too, which is also undiagnosed. Look, I'm just fucking retarded all the way around. I look at magic internet money business for my life. This is what I do. It's ridiculous. Anyways, we did hit our $36,500 target from yesterday, and we did get the pullback that we spoke about from yesterday as well. Now, I didn't necessarily give pullback targets for it. I said anywhere around $35,000 is fair game. And right now we're actually a few $100 below it, or actually $200 below it here. So with that in mind, where is my line in the sand for the current short-term rally if this is going to keel on over and go back down to the lows and maybe even print new lows, as that is still a topic of conversation as well, or at least a relevant one? Well, it would actually still be the same areas yesterday. As long as Bitcoin maintains above the last higher low, which is coming in from right around about 34, let's just call it 200-ish region. You could even probably use like a 2-hour close in this case. Yes, I would feel comfortable using a 2-hour close in this case. Then I do look at that as more or less putting in a higher low and all good. Now, of course, when you are talking about higher lows, you don't want to like come back down to exactly your prior low. So realistically, you do want to see something resembling a little bit of a low kind of come in where we're currently at about 34,800-ish region, which Bitcoin is going to test the ever-living shit out of you and make you and make you perhaps not so confident on this. But for right now, I would give Bitcoin a chance here. And if we do put on our drawing tools, just, very, very simply put, right around 34, just a few $100 above $34,000 is where I'd be looking for. That also comes with a contingency on the other side. If Bitcoin does break this, the prior analysis of Bitcoin pulling back and then setting up for further continuation into the $39,000 to $40,000 territory is negated. We don't have that just yet. What I'd be looking for first and foremost is I'd be looking for a return back down to about 32,500-ish region. So we're talking about, $1,500 move and potential for more, because anytime that Bitcoin does come back down around the low side of the range, we do have to entertain the possibility of like an actual breakdown in this case, especially with the monthly closure and quarterly closure coming a little bit later today, which can further enhance that bias. Anyways, with that said, obviously we're not below there right now, so that is not my main that is not my main what's word I'm looking for. I don't know what word I'm looking for. That's not my main idea right now. Essentially, I do think it's important to highlight, of course, because you need to prepare for both sides, of course. But but as long as we're above this pivot right here, I suppose that's neither here nor there. It's just a potential. But technically speaking, I still run with the trend, and right now on the trend on short and medium term time frames, we actually do have a nice little uptrend. It's kind of nice. But what would be my conditions for a breakdown to new all-time lows? Well, not not new all-time lows, but new lows on this current, massive drawdown, if you want to call it that. This massive red dildo party. How about that? It's the same thing as before, either a 4-hour close below 30,300 or a daily close below about 31,000 bucks, or a weekly closure about below about 32 and like 100 bucks right there. If one of those three things happens, preferably on the higher term timeframes would be a little bit better. I would still be looking at moves down towards 20,000 bucks with probably a stop along the way at about 24,000 bucks, maybe even low over time. But for right now, I actually still do decently like this price action. It's a little bit less obvious on the on the medium term timeframes right here, but once we start to go to the higher term timeframes, there actually are a few things that did happen in the last 24 hours that are of significance. The big one would be what we were looking at right on over here on yesterday's shorts video, actually on the 5-day chart, which actually I have a lot of respect for the 5-day chart because it does seem to get the more professional schedule of Bitcoin better than the daily actually, than the weekly actually. And what do we see right here? Once again, we did close as a nice hammer dildo on the bottom side of essentially your super guppy range. I've kind of a modified one right here using my preferred moving averages, but same sort of idea right there. And then more importantly, or I suppose just as important, we did see the 5-day Stokes actually turn up for the first time officially yesterday as well, actually on that closure. So this will remain to the upside as long as above 35,000 bucks. So I would go as far as saying that if Bitcoin can just maintain daily closures above 35,000 bucks, it does keep the Bulaw's hopes alive, at least for a rally into somewhere around the $40,000 territory. You already know my thoughts about moves into the mid $40,000 territory without having the three conditions that I've been looking for a macro low. Probably does turn into a bit of a bull trap, but I would not necessarily just blindly say that Bitcoin's destined to move on to new lows from this current dump just based off that. I still want to see something more tangible, and of course we could have those long-term signals print after that happens. In fact, that's probably what it would look like if it is going to happen. Anyways, going back on over here, should also denote that we do see daily MACD freshly crossed the upside a couple days ago and still gaining momentum. I want to see this get above the zero read, but for right now, it's the best that you can do, I suppose. And then we also do see daily SMI doing the same thing, actually freshly as of yesterday night. It will continue above where? It'll continue above, as long as we're above about 32,000 bucks. So another good little buffer zone right there. And the SMI is actually showing a little bit of a better picture, I would say, in comparison to the McDonald's indicator in this case. So with all of that in mind, if we do go back down to the short-term timeframes right here, what would I essentially say? I essentially actually am still short-term, medium-term bullish, even though it doesn't necessarily feel like that right now. As long as we do remain in the higher low structure on basically above 34,200ish regions, pretty much works on all lower term timeframes down to, I believe, an hourly. Yeah, it would work on an hourly as well. We could maybe lower it a little bit on an hourly down just around to about 33,900 to account for the the sloppiness in this time frame. But for right now, what else do we see as far as the momentum goes in the short term timeframes? Well, there is a few concerning things, right? We do see 4-hour Stokes currently down. We do see 3-hour Stokes currently down as well. By hourly is already down there, and hourly is, I'm going to guess, down there as well. Yes, indeed it is. This one's coming in about 35.5. By hourly is 36.5, which is not good. 3 hours, literally the same fucking number basically, and same with the 4 hours. So all lower term time frame momentum oscillators are pointed downwards right now. So at the very least, we are going to try for a higher low right here, but we really need to see something resembling a bit of a stop and reverse point, which we do not have right now. We literally just started within this kind of pullback narrative here. So can it pull back a little bit further? Yes, absolutely. But I need to see an actual break before I start to let go of that short-term sort of idea. Personally speaking, am I trading this right now? No, I'm not. I got out at about the 36,000, I think about 36,150. I didn't even take the full move right there, even though we've been talking about that for the past couple of days, but that's the way that I trade. I'm just happy with about 60 to 70% of the move. That's plenty for me, and I'd rather just kind of have the money in my pocket rather than hope and pray in this case, because this price action is still leaves a lot to be what's it called, desired. Yeah, there we go. Anyways, it should be denoted that 12 hours is actually showing some potential hidden bearish divergence right here. Now you can see that it is a solid line on characters RSI. Technically speaking, it is not confirmed just yet, and if Bitcoin does close this next 12-hour dildo back above about 35,500ish region, then that will be negated, and that would also be a decent sign short term, I do suppose. As if we do confirm this hidden bearish divergence, well, technically speaking, your short term target is going to be back down to about 33,250 or so, and then maybe even another return back down to the actual lows. So a few bucks lower than that. But for right now, it's potential. It's still not confirmed. We got another 6.5 hours to go, and as you know, 6.5 hours is a goddamn eternity in cryptocurrency land. And realistically, today is very likely to have a lot of action. Again, it is the end of the quarter and the semi-annual close. There's going to be a lot of rebalancing for big asset managers. There's going to be a lot of, position sort of pivoting as we do go into the next quarter. And a lot of the time, in fact, actually in Bitcoin's history, you can almost see every major pivot on Bitcoin's history here does come in on a quarterly close. Actually, the last quarter that we had was what? That was beginning of, end of March, early April, right? Well, where's early April? That's literally on the fucking high for Bitcoin right there. What about the one before that? That was literally on this high before a little bit of a weekly reversal. What about the high before, or what about the price action before that? September. Hey, that was the last major low before this massive move to the upside. What about the one before that? That would be March, of course, coming in back from over here. That was right after your coronavirus dump. Funny how that works, right? Anyways, the one before that was January on this reversal, and one before that was September on this reversal. So it works out pretty damn well. You can go back and test this out yourself, of course, but I do think that it is worth denoting right there, because realistically, a lot of those have actually come with reversals as to the current move, and in this case, that actually would be supporting a little bit of upside price action here. So take that, for what it's worth. But at the end of the day, again, price action matters more than anything else. I would not put like more of these ephemeral sort of monikers on price action as like priority or over actual, over actual structure. At the end of the day, that matters most to me. But you can see that it is kind of in there, and we got to have a little bit of hopium here too, especially for the newer people, because well, at some point we will enter into an actual prolonged bear market. I don't know if it's necessarily happening from right here right now, and that's going to be a really fun time for people who are not hodlers, basically. Anyways, I say that with a smile on my face, but I'm not necessarily like happy if people are going to lose money. Like, it's probably not the best thing. It's like, what do I do after these streams? I walk around the street and kick hobos in the face and say, "Fuck you." Anyways, just kidding. I definitely do not do that. Anyways, okay, cool. So I've been speaking for about 20 minutes now. Is there anything else that I want to get onto before we talk about comments? Yeah, we should definitely talk about traditional marks really quickly. I really like this as well, and I do think that this does bode well for Bitcoin. NASDAQ continues to strengthen. We did hit both of our targets coming into this week, right around, God damn it, I can't see it right here, right around the 1414 and the 1272. These are only short-term targets coming out of this last base. This typically leads to further continuation on top of that. And realistically, where I'm looking towards is still somewhere around $15,000 before this probably does put in maybe a macro top. This is, again, a very, very ridiculous looking chart. It is absolutely a parabolic blow off top in the making, but are we at that precipice just yet? Well, I mean, people said that it was over here, people said that it was over here, people said that it was over here. I happen to think that we probably have a little bit more to go, and then yes, there is going to be a pretty massive correction, very likely to the tune of 15-20% region, and then it probably continues on for more, because fuck it, man, this is the new era now. Just keep on printing that money, baby. But for right now, yes, I do think that this does bode well for Bitcoin. This would be another point in the Boolaw's favor here, because we do see strong correlations between basically everything within the world, but that's mostly represented and led by U.S. markets, being NASDAQ representing the tech and financial sector, and then of course SPY over here, which is equally as impressive, actually. Well, I wouldn't say it's actually equally as impressive, because it's not as good this current week, but it is following. More importantly, NASDAQ's currently leading, and Dow Jones is being the laggard, mostly based off of, I wouldn't say it's mostly based off of, but a strong portion of that weakness in Dow Jones, the industrials, is coming from this whole infrastructure deal that is kind of in limbo in the U.S. right now. And if that does go through, we're probably going to see these markets just continue doing what they've been doing for a long time. But looking at SPY right here, it's still more or less bullish as well. Can we get some short-term pullbacks? Yeah, we can definitely get some short-term pullbacks. Anywhere down to 42.50 is fair game. Same thing on NASDAQ too, but generally speaking, I do like this daily TSI continuing to move to the upside in the bullish buy zone. That's always a decent good thing, as we do see volatility expand within the direction of a trend continuation. That's also generally a good thing as well, and daily RSI back in the bullish control zone. So I like all of this kind of I like all this stuff kind of marred up together, and be generally looking for continuation. Again, here's going to be your monthly close, or what's going to mostly look like your monthly close, barring a catastrophic close today below about $4,200, or even anywhere around $4,200. This looks like it wants to continue on with the mega rally for a little bit more time. Same thing on NASDAQ right here. Oh my God, this one's even more powerful. This one's like even more crazy. Actually, this probably does have another few months of upside. God damn, man, that is insane. In Dow Jones, definitely being the laggard right here, actually putting in a little bit of a Jesus Christ dildo, if you will. But realistically, if the other two continue on with their rallies, this one's going to fall as well. And I do see a bit of a base being put in at above the 21 here as well. So as long as we just do not violate that by closing below it on a daily closing basis, more or less okay. But definitely the weaker one, representing the laggards of this market right now. What else do I want to look at before we get into it? Yes, let's also look at Bitcoin dominance. I think this would be a good thing to check out today because we did hit that long-term target at around 51 in some odd percent. So do we look for a pullback now? Yes, we do. And by the way, you will notice that there's a discrepancy between the Bitcoin dominance numbers shown on the Krown trading app and what you see on TradingView right here. Again, the numbers that are shown on the app are just verified from all the exchanges that we can actually 100% make sure they're telling the fucking truth. But the numbers are more or less, or they are consequential. I was going to say inconsequential, but they are consequential. It's just the general trend is still what we're looking at right here, and I believe that we are very obviously in an uptrend right now. But do we look for a pullback based upon that? Yes, I do think so. Where can we pull back down to? I mean, anywhere around I don't really think that moving averages work on this, or really any indicators work on this, but anywhere around mid 40s, of which we're at about 46.76 right now. Anywhere around 45% would be fair game, and then I'd be looking for another try. Back into the 50% region. So altcoins probably do have a decent, maybe few days coming in here versus their Bitcoin pairing. But long term, I do still think that we are kind of making a bit of a case here for a further sustained move to the upside. Long term, obviously, like very, very long term on the macro scale, this is obviously a very bearish chart. I mean, that you don't need to be any sort of analyst to look at this and know that's a downtrend, sir, and that's a very hefty downtrend at best, at worst. And in this case right here, ultimately I would still remain with the overall trend, but can we put in some upside before that? Probably yes. Also want to check out Dixie too. Not that I actually have. Oh, wow. Okay. This is very interesting, actually. This is very interesting. We are, again, closing the monthly, quarterly, and semi-annual today. And looking at Dixie right here, which represents the dollar index, measured against other fiat currencies, we actually are doing something of particular note. Let me go over to the quarterly. I think this is the one that I really wanted to watch. No, it was the biannual. Yeah, okay. So if we do close in our current stature and our current posturing, technically speaking, it still would not be an uptrend on the weekly, obviously. We do have a higher low in place, but we do not have a higher high. The second that this thing even just really grinds up against 93 bucks, I mean, it might get pushed back one more time, but it's not going to be a lower high. Very, 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 very unlikely to be a lower high. From a momentum oscillator perspective, this is bullish for all that it's worth right here. Weekly is rejecting the bearish control zone. Good. Weekly TSI turning up. It is in the bearish buy zone. Yes. So basically, depending upon how this one closes today, which if it closes above 92 bucks, I do think that does keep the Dixie Boolah's hopes alive. And while it's not necessarily like a direct corollary to your traditional assets, Bitcoin included in this case, it will very likely put downside pressure on most assets if this does actually especially take out the last high, which on a weekly closing base about 92.89. Again, if we just even get back around there, or even just back above the current high of this rally, I do think that this trend will reverse. Whether it takes another few weeks or a few months, I'm not too concerned about that. It would very likely reverse, and we'd see this one pop back up into the $94, maybe $95 territory with potential for more over time. 6 month is still looking like absolute shit, so I do think that keeps the long-term bearish hopes alive, but there is certainly hope on both sides, and this should obviously play obtuse to Eurodollar is what it typically does. And we'll be looking at Eurodollar. I mean, Eurodollar I think is pretty obviously in a bit of a short-term uptrend right here as far as the semi-annual goes. We got a low, we got a high, we got a higher low, and we got already a higher high. So I generally look at that as good, but I imagine we don't really need to say anything else about that. We're gonna know by tonight whether this is gonna come through or not. Anyways, okay, back on a Bitcoin right here, and I think it's time for me to get onto the good old chatties. So let's do that. Or did I miss something right here? No, I don't think so. Do we want to throw in the volume profile really quick? Yeah, we got rejected right at the point of control, but that is to be expected. The amount of retracement on this, though, I think is a little bit less expected. I was expecting this to come down to like 35,000 bucks. This one's actually already dipped a little bit below that. All right, cool. Let's get on the chats over here. Let's see what we got. Scott Carney says, "Hello, gays. Riot." Okay, hello, sir. We can look at Riot. You mean Riot Blockchain? This would actually be a good time to look at some of the other Bitcoin related stocks, of which Riot Blockchain is one. Obviously GBDC would be another one, and I think we have Mara as well. Now this looks like a pretty obvious rejection right here. How nasty is this rejection? Let's go on the monthly and see where this kind of lines up. Oh dear lord. Okay, I need to go on log scale for this piece of shit. Riot Blockchain is more or less a silly thing, but I don't know. What do I make of this? I mean, technically speaking, you do look at this as a retest of prior resistance, now turning, well, I suppose for support. Curious, is there anything more obvious than like a quarterly here? Yeah, I think this one still looks okay, actually. So while short term it probably does pull back, maybe even back down to about 34 and a half, 35 bucks, anywhere around there is fine. I wouldn't necessarily get too bearish on it just yet. Closing anywhere above 35 bucks for end of month is actually going to look okay for the long term, but short term, what are we looking at here? We're looking at a range kind of similar to Bitcoin, right? You got this range, or I guess I already have it drawn in there, but let's just do a completely new one. We got this range right here. We got these lows coming in right here, right around the 200. I'm basically looking for it to kind of bake within there. Actually, we raised this up to yesterday's rejection, but same thing, essentially same idea. I'd be looking for a bit of a sideways range here, and as long as it does hold the lows more or less fine over a long period of time, but give it some time to consolidate. Similar to Bitcoin, if this one is gonna turn around and continue on with the general rally here, it's probably gonna take some time, right? It's probably gonna take some time. I don't think that there's any major rush to get in position there. And we should go back on over here now. And Mr. Scott Carney did not give me a time frame. How dare you, sir? You know better. Anyways, Gemini Athlete MMA says, hey, Krown, can you check out WEI stock on 1-4 in daily? Okay, WEI. By the way, in traditional markets, I actually don't care about the 4 hour that much at all. I actually like the hourly a lot. Looks really good on the daily right here, but this thing very clearly does not trade pretty much ever. Look, you're getting like 100 shares multiple days in a row there, just barely. I'm not a fan of shit that looks like this, to be honest with you. But if you put a gun in my head and said, Krown, analyze it. Do we carry on with the rally a little bit more towards like 175, 177-ish region? Probably yes, but it is an obvious downtrend, of course, and I'm just not a fan of any chart that really looks like this long term. But short term, does it continue? Very likely yes. Again, somewhere around about upper 170s to maybe even 180-ish region. I'll just throw in a nice horizontal right here. Anywhere around there is fair game. But there is no denying it. This is one shitty chart over a long period of time, man. This is what the real chart looks like. Good charts do not look like this, sir. And I'm not saying this to poo-poo on you. Of course, you're probably a great person. But as far as charts go, this is a terrible chart. Terrible fucking chart. We Day, that's their name. They decided to name themselves We Day. All right, well, not fucking good, man. Look, maybe you have insider information on this one, but I don't see any reason to be long-term bullish on this thing as long as it's below, especially about $2. Above $2, maybe you do put another one of these pumps and dumps, but this is what happened the last time it pumped. It dumped straight afterwards, which is not a good sign, of course. People just looking to sell that one. What's up, Crispy? Welcome to the cave, sir. We got Michael Crooks. Hey, Krown. Hope everything's going good. Can you check out AVGR stock on 1-4 in daily, please? Okay, AVGR. All right, AVGR. Okay, Avenger. All right. Another very shitty stock chart. Holy shit, man. Where? It's like people are now finding crypto shitcoin charts in stock in stockland, and like right now is the time for stock. Like most stocks are just going to the moon and beyond. If it looks like this, it's not good. it's straight up not good. But if I'm looking at the daily, do I think that this rally continues? Yes. Do I think that long term this is an absolute monstrosity of a chart and has no business being traded? Absolutely. This is garbage, man. But yeah, short term very likely does continue here. I'll be looking at a move towards like 155, 160-ish region hourly. Looks fine for continuation as well. Looks very similar short term to the last chart that we just looked at, and I would generally be looking for continuation. Yeah, 155 region would be the next short term target, and then if you do exceed that region on like a daily closure, probably extend that back up to like somewhere around $2. No real reason to be excited about this one long term, as long as it's continuing with the lower highs on the weekly, and your last lower high is about 210. So could this be a reversal right here? Possibly yes. I mean, volume signature is a little bit interesting, but I typically like to quote my mentor in these sorts of situations and say, you avoid this shit like the fucking plague, kid. and you stay far away from this bullshit. But hey, man, maybe you have some inside information, and or maybe you just like the stock. Maybe you like what they're doing. Fair enough. That's a different game. Anyways, let's see. King Cosmic says, SPY, please, 1 and 4 hour daily. Yes, let's do that. Let's definitely do that. We already kind of spoke about the daily there. It's actually really funny because Elsa's been doing the timestamps for the last couple days, and like this, it's actually like hilariously confusing for somebody who's not used to this, because she'll see like ES1 here, and she's like, "What the fuck is this?" Oh, it's spot. You have to explain everything. It's like, Jesus Christ, man, we take a lot for granted. Anyways, daily, like I said earlier, I generally like it here. Could it pull back a little bit? Perhaps yes. Let's go down to lower term timeframes to see if that is a potential here. I'd be expecting to see something resembling bearish divergence, and actually we do not. What I see here is actually a nice healthy consolidation in the bullish control zone. I typically like this sort of a read, especially when volatility is on the floor right here in the context of an uptrend. So what I would say is that, yeah, you might have a little bit of a short-term pullback, of which I'd say anywhere anywhere down to 42.69 is fair game, but ultimately I am generally bullishly biased on this one for continuation, more or less on the medium and higher term timeframes. Again, do I have any targets on this one? Similar to like NASDAQ, I think that I probably can make them. I forget where my last major... Oh, I haven't taken an extension on this one in a while. All right, let's see what we're coming out of this base over here. I'm just curious. Okay, all right. This one's actually this one's a very big one, by the way. This is like a macro one right here. You don't get all that often, but in this case, we are in a macro move. We are in the throws within a macro move. Technically speaking, the next major area of interest on the macro scale is going to be 4,500, and above there we got somewhere between about 4,850 to 5,000 bucks. Now, of course, this is on the macro scale. This is not relevant to like the hourly, 4-hour, or even the daily in this case. Really relevant to like the weekly. But I just wanted to see, because I do have some more long-term targets in NASDAQ, and I wanted to see if that one, kind of lines up with anything like that. So I suppose that would be around it. What's up, Legend LEZs? Sir, is Apple daily and weekly about to buy me a bog hottie? A bog hottie? I woke up in a new bog hottie. Oh my god, the fucking Finns probably don't know that song because it's only like 10 years old, so they'll get it in like 5 years from now. Sir, we outsource our culture to you guys. Okay, just be grateful. All right, you have everything to thank the Americans for. God damn, man, people probably absolutely hate me if they're not familiar with this channel. Is it gonna buy you a new bog hottie? You might wake up in a new bog hottie, man. This is actually looking pretty good here. I think that this one is breaking out. We did take out the prior weekly swing high on a wick basis. I typically like that, especially on, when you're looking at a higher term time frame like this. Oh, what's this? Hidden bullish divergence come off the low, back in the bullish control zone. Weekly TSI turning up. Breakout looks real to me, man. I'd be looking for this one to continue upwards and onwards. You're gonna have an area of interest right around your prior all-time high at about 143 or so. But technically speaking, measure move is about 155 or so. And that's not to say that that's going to be the totality of the move. You might have a little bit of a short-term pullback from there, reaccumulate, whatever, and then march up for new highs. But this is a very good signature right here. So again, kind of playing into my general bias that traditional markets in general are going to continue with the upside here. Monthly, I think, is a little more obvious. See a nice obvious ascending triangle at a high level, powerful girthy green dildos to the moon, and God damn, man. Again, okay, I just want to take a second here. All right, this is what a good chart looks like. This is what you typically want to see if you are, going to be investing for a long term. When we're talking about the other charts that are like literally on the fucking floor and have not moved, especially with the rest of the market, while most strong things, even the medium term thing, or even the medium strength things, are like moving in this direction, it's probably not good. It's probably not good. Yes, this is a ridiculous chart. At some point it will reverse, but for right now, just let it do what it's going to do. Probably has another continuation phase, for this next quarter or so. It looks generally pretty damn good. All right, is it gonna buy me new bog hottie? I could go two ways with that. Is it a Bogdanov, or is it a fucking bog hottie? Like you wake up in a new one and it's all good, man. I like it either which way. Crypto Dogma says, morning, Mr. Krown. Morning, Mr. Crypto Dogma. How you doing, man? I put a short at 36,400. Nice. Stop loss 37,000. Moving it every now and then. Think a bounce at 34,000 bucks. Have a great day. Could be if Bitcoin is going to reverse from that level. That's kind of where I'd be looking for. I'm a little bit, I guess, a few $100 higher than that, but you're probably just making it easy to type out right there. But I guess it was on this chart right here. Yeah, I'd be looking right around about 34,200 or so. If we do start to bounce from here, though, this will be a higher low, and until we really break this higher low structure, I do have to remain short-term bullish on, on Bitcoin. There's just kind of a pullback, a little bit more of aggressive pullback at that, but, okay nonetheless. If we were to take a bit of a fib retracement on this pullback thus far for that last move to the upside, it looks something like this, right? And let's just see if we're at any major level right now. Yeah, we did hit down to the 786, so it is a pretty deep retracement. Below there, it's very unlikely to be a retracement. It's probably just going to be, a reversal at that point. And that's going to greatly influence, of course, the monthly and all higher term time frame closures coming a little bit later tonight. Miguel says, tough not to curse in the Elio Trades video. Yeah, man, Elio Trades has a bit more of a general audience. So, want to be respectful of people and their channels if I'm gonna be a guest there. But at some point, I really want to have a podcast with some of my content creator friends here in cryptocurrency, because I think people would be really surprised, maybe not surprised, but they would be very enlightened to find out what a lot of these guys are like behind the scenes. They're all just normal, chill, very cool guys, very, 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 very nice people. And honestly, Elio Trades, anyone, if you just fucking met him at a bar and you're trying to date a guy, great. You're gonna have a good time. Same thing with K-Dub, same thing with a lot of these guys. Ivan on Tech, Crypto, I always mention Kevin Svensson, good guy too, and then a lot of other guys that you probably know as well. I'm definitely missing a few. So, if I did miss something, it's not anything personal. It's just I did not get in a good night's sleep last night once again. So fair enough. Anyways, Boris Rusky says, hey, can you please check out silver 4-hour daily weekly? Yes. Okay. So last time we looked at silver, it was still consolidating, but long term, the outlook was generally good. And would I still be staying with that? Ooh, big old dumpola right there. But nah, I don't think it's as problematic as what that looks like on a short-term time frame. Anyways, you are specifically asking about a what? You're asking about a 4-hour daily weekly. Okay. Are you seeing any signs of bottoming yet, or is it still frothy? Also, how probable distribution ascending triangle formations are in commodities? In commodities, they're actually pretty damn good, triangles, and just generally formations are actually a lot more efficacious in commodities than they are in cryptocurrencies, for example. In fact, in cryptocurrencies, I really don't care too much about formations, except for like, you already know, like the triangles seem to be some of the best ones. They have like more than a 70% probability to work out. But in this case right here, you are still holding your higher lows. And while you could get a wick down, anywhere around about $25, that's completely fine. I just don't want to see any closures below about 25 and a half or so, which we are kind of right around right now. So this probably does get decided relatively soon. But looking at the daily right here, do I think that do I think that silver does go a little bit lower? Probably yes. Maybe another move down to around that $25.50 level. But I'm never going to hate a higher low structure right here. And this one obviously still has it. I'm not really seeing any particularly good signs of bottoming just yet. The obvious thing on price action would be back above this little local rejection right there, right around 26 and 9 or 8 cents or so. Above there, this starts to look a lot more like an actual a little bit more of an aggressive higher low. Probably march back onto the top side of that consolidation. Oh, this is actually on a daily, yeah. And then you said I think a 4-hour as well. Yeah, 4-hour looks like it wants to try some downside from here first before anything else. And then of course monthly. I know you didn't ask about it, but I do think it's relevant to say. I mean, the monthly still looks more or less good to me. I'm not bearish on this right here. When you do have a what is this, like 8-year long? Doing some bad maths right now, but yeah, about an 8-year long accumulation phase from 2013 all the way to 2020, 2021. It's going to take its time, man. This one moves at a kind of snail's pace. It's not like Bitcoin where things are just, flying, but this one's also been around since the dawn of time. So it's a lot more of a mature asset. So it is going to naturally move slower. And I think that this one's fine as it is right now. Again, as long as it maintains that higher low structure, I'm just not going to hate it, for a long term, of course. Anyways, Scott Carney says, so you trade Bitcoin to go back into stinky dollars? Actually, no. I actually haven't gone from my trading account into dollars since 2018. Actually, the reason why I don't do that is because I don't really have I'm already liquid in cash, so I don't really need to put that money in. And if I do that, then I execute a taxable event, which at some point I definitely will do. I don't really just want to hold on for Bitcoin for the rest of my life, but I don't really have a necessary need to do that. But if I was if I wasn't the covering mindset, would I do it from here? I don't know. I don't think so just yet, but that's like a personal decision, right? Like I just have a stack of Bitcoin that I basically feed into from my trading gains and also losses sometimes too. And I just hold that no matter what, essentially, until I see a situation where I need more money, essentially. Oh, the doggies are here. Uh-oh, we got some flying dogs coming in hot. It looks like Elsa's got two little puff balls coming in over here. Let's see. Do they want to say hi? Be careful, little puppers. Uh-oh, here they come. They look like little clouds of hair. God damn. Do they look happy? They look very happy. One of them is very well fed too. Binance is exit scamming? Is it? Is Binance exit scamming? I've always been a little bit concerned with Binance, but I don't know if that's just hearsay or not. So if anyone has an actual article or something verified to say about that, I would love to read it, but maybe I'm just reading off the comments a little bit too willy-nilly. Hey, what's up? What's up, Charles Fucks? Charles Fucks says, hi, doggy. That's right, man. We got little... They're so happy right now. All right, cool. Yeah, you were warned. You were definitely warned. Okay, cool. Let's see. What do we have over here? Super Googly says, today for the price of Bitcoin. Guys, hello, sir. That one is Lucky. He's... He looks confused. He looks like a little hairy bear. Sir, can you please have a look at SHIB USDT daily, please? Sure. Okay, SHIB. This is one of the doggy tokens, actually, funnily enough. I guess we go to Binance for this sort of bullshit here. And all jokes aside, this one actually has a decent 4-hour trend here. Let's see. I think you said daily. Daily looks fine to me, actually. This is... I'm just reading the charts right now. This actually is a pretty decent chart for the time being. You're right at your prior little local swing high. Any sort of a closure above 900, that's not Satoshis. That's like 900 millionths of a cent. I'd be looking for this one to go back onto a rally towards the prior highs of the range at about 1055. I don't know what number this is, like in terms of like maybe it's a millionth of a cent or something. I don't know. It's very fucking low is what I'm trying to say, but probably back around here based off that. This actually does look okay for the short term. A little bit of a double bottom structure right there. Really not enough history to give a whole hell of a lot of analysis on this one, but looking at the 4 hour, do you play at a short-term pullback first, like Bitcoin? Perhaps yes. Anywhere down around here is completely fine. Anywhere down around the 21, essentially, at about 820-ish region is completely fine. So I don't have a strong opinion on that. My strong opinion is on that next closure, which actually the 4 hour's already done it. So technically speaking, should be looking for continuation, generally speaking, after maybe another higher low set in. Okay, all right. Wolf359 Survivor says, Crown Dog, hello, Sir Dog, or Wolf Dog, compound. By the way, did you know that all dogs used to be like wolves? Like, how the fuck did that little Pomeranian ever used to be a wolf? Like, that thing cannot defend itself from anything now. If I threw that thing in the wild, it would die in like an hour. Yeah. Sorry, but like some fucking eagle's gonna come and pick it up and eat it for lunch. But Elsa really doesn't like that. But somehow these things were like wolves at some point. Like, these things were, predators with like serious, danger around them. Anyways, weekly, yearly, please, for compound. Is there a yearly to do for compound? You mean this comp? Are you talking about this? Because if you're talking about this, I highly doubt that there is even a yearly to look at. Let's see. Yeah, there's not a yearly to look at here, man. I mean, it's been around for less than a year, or it's actually been around for just 1 year now. So you literally just have one dildo, and it's like there's nothing to say about that. But you're looking at a week. We could maybe do a weekly. Still barely enough information to analyze here as well. Again, this is not an example of one of the stronger altcoins in my opinion. There's several altcoins that actually had some pretty good rallies. All things considered, this one is not one of them. This one is, in my opinion, heavily bearish as long as you're below about 450-ish region. Yes, it can rally up, all the way to about 380, 390 and still be completely terrible looking actually. Daily, about to put in hidden bearish divergence in this case, but that is not confirmed just yet. I really would want to see like a closure right below about 297, 298 region for that to be confirmed, and then target to move back down to mid to low $200 region. This one, again, very unlikely to move on its own. I imagine that if Bitcoin, picks itself up here, you'll probably see this one march up to the top side of this area, somewhere around like 390 to 400-ish region. But again, long term, I don't really have anything positive to say about this thing as long as you're below, again, about, I think it was 420 or something. Where was it on the daily exactly? Sorry, about 450 to 460-ish region, more accurately said. So fair enough on that one. Not the picture of health and fitness, but if the market generally continues, this one will follow. It just looks sloppy and probably not gain as much. 2 days, okay. 2 days, okay. 3 day, I know you didn't ask for it, but this one also okay for a little bit of a short-term rally. I would not be surprised to see this one make a stab up towards 380 to 390 before it does potentially put out some actual downside. For right now, though, not the best chart. Not the best chart. By the way, I did miss this on Bitcoin. Now that I recognize it, we actually did confirm regular bullish divergence on the 3 day, and obviously the 2 day did a couple closures ago as well. But we still kind of remain with a little bit of a short-term bias on the high term time frames to the upside, somewhere around about 38, maybe $39,000 region, the top side of the range. Unless of the 4 hour, unless of the short-term structure does break down. Again, we are pretty damn close there, but does Bitcoin hold it up here? Perhaps yes. Let's actually see what the hourly says. The hourly still doesn't put in anything resembling a low there. So that is definitely not something to be saying exactly at this moment. It's just a possibility, but certainly not in there. Okay, cool. Hoju42, what's up, man? Hair Doctor Professor. Whoa, we are using some very scary words right there. There's, sir. Love all the new data on the app. Fuck yeah, man. I'm glad that it's appreciated because I'm so goddamn proud of it. I can't even claim responsibility for it. It's obviously our team. We got our lovely designer and we got our lovely programmer, both of which are absolutely just fucking madmen in the best possible way. But is it possible to allow changes time frame on the market data charts? No, we update it only on a daily basis because that's the way that the data is fed to us. However, in the next update, or it might be the next update, maybe the one after that, but we are going to have hourly data. So you will be able to get the data faster, refreshed, on an hourly basis. It'll all still be completely verified, so we won't have to worry about that. But that's about as good as we can do. And because that is going to put a bit of a strain on our system, we probably will have to put that behind a very low dollar paywall, just to make sure that like we don't fucking go broke, paying for this data, which is going to end up costing a lot of money. But I think it'd be pretty damn reasonable, like $20 maybe or something like that, in order to get the hourly data for all of that. And we're going to add more to it as well. So it's going to be, or at least I would think so, it'd be justified. And on top of that, we're going to have like live feeds from CME, I believe too. We're working on that one. So very, 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 very excited for that, for those changes. But for now, yeah, just updates on a 24-hour basis, and that's about as best we can do with our current setup. Metro Blockchain says, "Sup, Krown? What's up, Metro? Why did you leave the U.S.? Why did I leave the U.S.? Because I like living in Finland. I like living with my girlfriend. And while I actually was reminiscing a little bit about my prior town in the USA, that being Chicago, I really realized that the things that are most important to me are actually over here in Europe. And while the U.S. is cool, and I'm not like a hater of the USA and anything like that, it's just this kind of aligns with my sort of values more." Especially with like food, for example. So in Finland, if you didn't know, there's like actual like food regulations. I mean, obviously they're on the USA as well, but they have like quality standards here, and like all fucking cows are treated, with somewhat with like a modicum of respect. And I love eating meat, but I hate being a fucking asshole. And the problem is that in America, if you're eating meat there, it's probably coming from factory farming. And I don't know, man. It's hard to watch those videos when you see that kind of shit going on. It kind of makes me feel it just doesn't kind of, it makes me definitely feel bad. So that would be a big one for me. Big hedge fund manager says, "Dumb money trades mornings and smart money trades end of day." Thoughts? So I would disagree with that, generally speaking. I think smart money trades both the morning and the closure. So in my experience, when it comes to traditional markets, most of the business is done within the first hour of open, maybe hour and a half if you want to stretch it out a bit, and then the last half hour, and that's like the majority of where you'd actually make your trades. In my experience, most people, like I say, would actually just leave. They would just leave the exchange for like the 4 or so hours in between there and come back for the end. So does dumb money trade the morning? I don't know if I'd agree with that. Like, you also have to understand their sort of ideology, right? Big hedge funds, what are they doing? They're mostly playing higher term timeframes. So what are they going to be concerned with? They're going to be concerned with both the open and the close, not necessarily too much intraday price action. Yes, they will trade around their positions, obviously, but for the most part, they're going to be on the daily. So that kind of makes more sense for them. And I imagine that's who they're probably talking about. Dumb money within the context of like investing, competing with hedge funds, that's a different game. We're more or less traders here. And so that's, you have a lot of opportunity in the morning. I wouldn't say that you're just dumb money because you trade in the morning. That's kind of a silly thing to say. Crypto Angel says, "Full TA on Theta BitC." Or do you mean Theta Bitcoin? What's up, Crypto Angels? All right, let's go check it out over here. Bless you, sir. What was it? Theta. Yes, that's right. Theta used to be very popular. Not so much anymore. People don't ask about it any longer. We can look at it right here, and this is what I believe you were asking for. Okay, so a full analysis. I don't know about that, man. It looks bad. This one's trending down. Obviously, we had a little bit of a failed attempt right there. That is just going to be another lower high before further continuation to the downside. I'd be looking for next move to come down to 17,000, 17,300 Satoshis or so, and try for a base there. Weekly is not the worst chart of all time, actually. On the weekly, it's actually pretty damn good over a long period of time. But I do think that next move is to the downside, and you probably try for a little bit of a low structure somewhere in the mid $17,000 region. If that area starts to fail, then this thing can come down very significantly. But I imagine that the rest of the market, would probably be coming down anyways. So you'll be notified more or less by Bitcoin or Ethereum. I think they're just easier charts to read here. And if things do start to break down, well, 11,500 is where I'd be looking towards. But for right now, give it a chance to try for another low somewhere around 17.5, and then kind of just watch the rest of the market, because they're probably going to decide the actual direction on this. Monthly is looking like a lot of distribution going on right here. Not looking good. Not looking too hot. So fair enough on that one. I'd generally be bearish on this one. Short term, medium term, long term, give it a chance, I suppose. All right, cool. The 4-hour trader says, "Hi, Krown, you sexy beard." Hey, appreciate that, man. I work on my beard quite often, accumulating these hair follicles. Anyways, Aussie dollar, US dollar, 4-hour day. Yes, let's do that. Definitely. Okay. Aussie dollar, US dollar right here. Okay, on OANDA. I always like looking at Forex, man. It's doing some different. Down, bad. Bad. Okay, so what do we have right here? We have a distributive top right here. You get your first sort of markdown. Here's your throwback, rejection, obviously below all major movement averages except for the 377. I'd be looking for another base right around like 74, 80-ish region, and then very likely continuation over a long period of time towards 73, 75 region. This needs to be considered within the higher term time frame context as well. And I would caution against getting further bearish than that just yet. The monthly does look pretty bad though. So if the monthly does close, which it is going to close tonight, anywhere below pretty much like 75 cent, I would say that the next rally to the upside, if there is going to be another rally to the upside, anywhere around like 76 cent, very likely does get rejected. This is going to be another macro lower high, and I'd generally be looking for this one to come down over the next half year, probably back down to 70 cents, maybe even lower than that over time. I mean, this is a pretty shitty chart for a long period of time here, and not really having the best, a run into the close here. Looking at the quarterly, looks like another lower high to me as well. Not a humongous fan of that chart, to be clear. All right, cool. Oh, you did ask about a 4, but yeah, that was down as well. Hey, a priori, holy shit, there he is, the man himself. God damn, man, I got to shout out a priori because he is absolutely fucking killing it in traditional markets. Oh my god, man. Hey, man, I've been reading about your success, and that's so fucking cool, man. Holy shit, seriously, congratulations. Like you've done some incredibly impressive stuff, and God damn, man, that's just awesome. Anyways, can you check Krown coin on the 5 seconds? God damn it, Apri. I don't expect you to fucking troll me, you French bastard, you. But again, man, massive respect because, it's great to see people in the community like actually having really, really good success. And then more importantly, also like kind of sharing it too, because it's not just inspiring for other people, but, you sharing it in the moment is very fresh. And for people who are kind of, around that precipice of like turning it on from like maybe, slightly being profitable, but not consistent, and then going into consistent profitability, that's humongously useful for a lot of people in a way that you probably don't understand, because I can speak from experience here. I don't understand it either, but it is very, very humbling when you actually see that. So good to see you, man. And goddamn troll, you fucking troll, you. Anyways, Legend Ali Z's is back. He says, is CME cross retest of 21E and 200E a good cross? Okay, let's go dial in exactly what you're looking at first, as my voice cracks. Okay, so you're talking about a cross between the 21 and was it the 200? Is it a good cross? It does seem to get some pretty damn good play, actually, and this would be a good cross for the bears here. Yes, absolutely, especially if we confirm a rejection right here. So if Bitcoin is going to turn bearish from where we're currently at, which I still actually do remain with short-term, medium-term bullish bias here, until we do destroy the higher low structure, which we have not done just yet. If this has another rejection, especially if we close below, let's call it 34.5, anywhere below the 10 simple. This is going to be a confirmed rejection. Bitcoin very likely comes back down to $32,000, and at that point you do kind of have to be looking at this as as your bull trap, and it's like, Jesus Christ, man, it came this low. Like, are we really this weak? That's kind of unfortunate, man. I don't think that's what's happening here, but you'll have clarity on this situation tomorrow, or I guess not tomorrow, but tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Depending upon how it closes. If it closes back above the 200 simple, I'd say that still keeps Bula's hopes alive here too, as that's cleanly above 35.5 as well. 4 hour on this one, yeah, it does look like one's come down. I mean, this does not look good on the short-term time frame. CME is bearish. This one looks like obviously bearish too, which is not fucking good because CME usually runs price action. But fair enough. We'll give it the benefit of the doubt. Also, don't want to shit on people's hopes and dreams just yet. Anyways, just close the lower low on weekly. I actually would push back against that statement. I've been getting a lot of questions about this because people say that, or people accurately have identified that, yes, CME did close on a lower low on the weekly, technically speaking, from last week to in comparison to what we saw back on over here in January. Now this closure was just ever so slightly lower. We're talking about a closing difference price of about $100. Yeah, $100 right here. 32.3 is open versus 32.2 is closed right here. That to me is not significant, and more importantly, when you do see something that is that close, when you see something that is like this close together, what you should do is you should go down to a bit of a lower time frame. In this case, a daily, I think is fine, and you'd expect to see a breakage on the daily as well. Like if the higher term time frames are going to break, then that obviously implies a lower term time frames have already broken because they have to lead into that, and we just don't see that right here. You can see that your obvious precipice is going to be right below $31,000, basically right here, actually at the bottom of this nice little red half circle, if you will. So yeah, man. I would say it's not broken just yet. If you're going off the structure, I think that would be that would be a bad call, at least for myself, because over time it's probably not going to work out like that. Even though you'll hate me if it does work out and you didn't get a better entry. But fair enough. Should I sell my Bugatti and move to mom's basement? Well, that depends. Do you like living with your mom or not? And do you hate putting on shorts? Maybe not. Maybe do. Does your mom make tendies? That's a real question, as per Elsa's inquiry. Does your mom make tendies? Does she also cut off the crusties from your sandies? And will she clean that fleshlight if it does get dirty? That's what I need to know. Mom! River Rubble says, could you check out CHPT? I can, but without a time frame given, I have very little idea of where to go with this one, so I'm just going to go with the daily. 4 hour looks good, as we just started right there. Daily looks... short term, a little bit of a pullback, maybe back down to like 33.75, but I do like this one. This is actually a decent chart right here. Obvious accumulation going on between March 2021 and June of this year as well. So I do think that it will mark its way back upwards and onwards towards, the prior highs of about 42, 43 bucks. But for right now, is it going to put in a bit of a pullback first? It does look like a short-term time. Well, I was going to say the short-term time frames maybe say that. It's actually the daily that kind of looks like it could. What about the weekly? Weekly's good. I mean, maybe it does pull back, maybe it doesn't pull back. I don't have a strong opinion on that. 34 bucks would kind of be my line in the sand for a short-term pullback. Generally speaking, though, I would be looking for continuation. This is a decent chart. We don't have a whole hell of a lot of history here, just going back to 2019 for a stock, but this is okay. It's fine as it is, in my opinion, especially I imagine if we go to the monthly as well. Yeah, that's a pretty damn good monthly right there. So I would generally be bullish on it, but I don't know what time frame you're looking at, so hard to kind of dial it in there. Atuk Nakal says, hey, are you from Myanmar? Is that what that symbol is? I've always wanted to know what that's like. Could you please check out Pound Yen? Fuck yeah, man. Let's do it. Pound Yen. This is my favorite Forex shitcoin, actually. GP. Oh my God, I can't even spell. I like mixed it up there. Man, dyslexia is really hitting me hard today. All right, what time frames are we looking at? Monthly. Okay, yeah, monthly and ST. I don't know what ST is. Monthly does look good for some long-term uppity up, probably up to about 161.5 or so. But man, I've traded this thing in the past, and I know from experience, this thing pumps and dumps out of fucking nowhere. But for now on the monthly, it does look more or less okay. Daily looks like shit, by the way. It looks like it wants to come back down to about 151.5, but that's, not as important on a monthly scale. So short term probably does play out a little bit of a pullback. But if you are long term, like a monthly and quarterly, it looks like we're putting a nice base right here and probably do work our way up long term towards, the 160 plus region. But again, this is long term. See a little bit of signatures of accumulation going on from 09 to where we're at right now. Volume signature really starting to pick up right here too, but that's not going to be confirmed anytime soon, as your last sort of quarterly swing high is all the way at 192. So god damn, man, this thing's this thing moves like freight. This thing really does move like a shitcoin. But yeah, next move probably short term to the downside. Based off the monthly close, which, as long as it doesn't shatter its current area right here, let's say below about 151, I'd generally be looking for this one to continue its mount up assault. Actually looks okay. What about momentum oscillators? Yeah, a little bit of a short-term sideways is completely fine on the monthly, but looks okay is what I'm trying to say. All right, sweet. Hey, what's up, Toby One? It's been a while, man. How you doing? brother? Have you taken a look at Hex USDC yet? No, I have not. Just got back from the Hex Vegas meetup, and Pulse Sacrifice should begin any day. Jesus Christ, man, pumping the price. All right, let's take a look at it. I'm curious to see how this one's been holding up as of recent times, seen as the general market has been more or less rallying off the lows. How has Hex been acting throughout this? Basically doing the same thing, and in fact, looking at this right here, okay, I do want to kind of go over the price action of this for a second, just because, well, just kind of toot my own horn, because we actually did get this one pretty damn well. Okay, so we did hit about our 10-cent target right here. We set a pullback down to about 7 cent. We got that on a closing basis. Yeah, yes, did wick lower towards 6.5 cent, but that doesn't count. So all good. Just kidding, of course. But what are we looking at right now? A little bit of a sideways consolidation. I do not think that this one's done just yet, though. It looks like it's hard to be bearish on this one from a weekly standpoint, especially as long as you're above 7 cent on a closing basis and you're clean like 1.27 cent above there, which is actually pretty big percentage differential at this price point. looking at this right here, you can come up with a very easy range. And I do think that it will trade sideways for a little bit here, actually a little bit higher than that, kind of where we're at right now. But ultimately, anywhere above yesterday's high, which is 8.5 cents, I'd be looking for this one to generally retest its prior highs. Daily TSI is still in more or less a bullish posturing, although it is technically to the downside. So I want to see that turn up. Daily RSI, I want to see that get back into the bullish control zone. So what does that mean to me? Very likely a little bit of sideways in this range. And then, kind of hard to go against a trend for right now. What does the monthly look like? That's not bearish, really. I mean, this thing has a massive range, could easily come back down to 7 cents, but it's not necessarily bearish, or that's not a bearish chart at all. It's actually quite a good chart. So Hex still actually being one of the darlings of the smart I do suppose. I'm curious to see how that one will react once it has its event. Because a lot of the time, you do see just general pumps into an event like that and then kind of dump it afterwards. I'm very curious to see how it operates around that time. But for now, you probably have free skies until that event. And it sounds like there's no set date for what is this? For the pole sacrifice. It sounds like there's no set date for that. So it kind of makes, judging that a lot more difficult, I suppose. All right. Hey, what's up, Rocky G? There he is. Hey, Krown fam. Hello, Rocky fam. HCR and ASX. Okay. Why do all of the Australian stocks look so bizarre, man? I don't think I've ever seen like a normal looking Australian stock. Is this one going to be the first one? Actually, yes. This is it. Hey, this is it. This is actually not bad. This actually looks like somewhat normal stock. Yeah, it's actually very normal, in fact. Okay, now what was your, what exactly were you saying? Looking at a long-term laddering at 82 cent to 21 EMA monthly, as long as we are above last macro breakout at 65 cent, if 21 EMA breaks. Okay, let's check this out on the monthly then. Daily looks okay for a little bit of a short-term low. Monthly, yeah, I'd basically say the same thing as well, because the 21 is pretty much in line with your last prior major highs, right? A little bit lower than that on a closing basis, which is your 65 cent territory. So I see where you're getting that. Anywhere in here is kind of like your questionable zone, I suppose. But what I'd expect to see coming into next month is I want to see this one close back above about almost a buck, just a few cents below there to like 97 cent. That starts to look pretty damn good for macro continuation. Speaking of macro, let's see what the quarterly looks like. Not super hot on the quarterly, but I still play structure until proven otherwise in this case. Some people will look at that as an early warning signal to get the fuck out or short into this one. I think that you play the long-term trend in this one, but that's just me. Of course, it's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but to me, it looks like we're trying to put in a low right here. You're right on the yearly moving average actually too. Does it grind out this area a little bit more? Probably yes, but ultimately I would be looking for this one to pop back up somewhere around 97.5 to 98 cents region, above 98 cents, which is basically the 200 simple right now on the daily. I'd be looking at this consolidation as resolved and, likely to work its way back up to the prior range highs and set up maybe for like a good end of year, if that. But this one's had a pretty nice run thus far. It's going to take some time going sideways at the very least here. So I do think that you are trying to put in a bit of a base right now, which is actually a good sign, at least for now. But I would like to see that one coming into July specifically. Mr. G Sound says, good day to you, sir. Good day to you as well, man. I noticed you don't use specific color on your volume. Is there a specific reason for this? I don't see colors in my volume, man. I ain't no fucking racist. We don't see Christmas colors in this bitch. It's all gray to me. And you know what? I had to explain earlier to Elsa why you cannot be racist towards white people, because she is obviously ignorant and she's racist herself. So you know what? Everyone reprimand Elsa in the chats, because she doesn't understand why it's okay to make fun of white people, but not okay to make fun of other people who might not be white. What is a white person consist of? I don't fucking know, because apparently 100 years ago an Irish person was not considered a white person, neither was an Italian, neither was a Greece. So where do we draw the line? Doesn't matter. If they come from Europe, fuck them. That's exactly right, ma'am. Anyways, thank you for your stewardship of this. Hey man, I really do appreciate that, man. That's very humbling. I really do appreciate that, all jokes aside. But yeah, man, the reason why I don't put colors right there is probably for the same reason I shouldn't put colors on my chart actually as well. I just don't want to be visually sort of suggested by something that realistically is kind of neutral in what its color should be. Like, you can have a red dildo right here, which would technically be a red volume dildo, and it could be, let me find an example, it could be some sort of massive reversal on a hammer or some, well, that would be the downside right there. Yeah, here would be a good one right here. It's like you look at this and you're like, oh shit, it's red, and that's going to be red volume, but this is actually a major low right there. Same thing right here, right? It's going to print a red volume dildo, but it's, volume isn't really red or green. You'd have to look at like a cumulative volume in order to kind of judge that, and I actually don't have an indicator for that. In fact, that would actually be a really good one to have. But you know, I don't. To be honest with you, man, I actually don't give a whole hell of a lot of just volume or a whole hell of a lot of significance on volume just on its own. Only on like major pivots on the market. You know, when you see extremes, that's what I want to know. You know, just you know, in the intraday, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I can kind of help round out some biases, but it's never going to be like my main source of you know of looking at some. Hoji42 says expatriate Krown. Hello, sir. Reporting in. I also left the U.S. about 15 years ago. Agreed. Food standards are lowest in the world. They really are, man. I don't know about the world, but if you're comparing it to like European or probably like other first world countries, it's not the same thing, man. It really is not. Like I feel so much more healthy eating the food that I eat here in comparison to the food that I eat in America. There's something going on there, man. There's definitely something going on. I'm sure that anyone who's lived in both places will probably confirm that fact. You were in Eugene, Oregon. I actually went to University of Oregon, man. So Eugene's a pretty cool town, actually. Pretty damn cool. Great weed. They do have great weed there, no doubt about that. Oh, here he comes. We got Flying Doggy coming back in here. Hey, go Ducks. Yeah, man, it's go Ducks. That's awesome, man. I didn't know that you were from Oregon. Where do you live now? I'm guessing based off your name, maybe Japan, or is that just a stupid thing to say? BK says, hey, Krown, can you look at AMP USD on Gemini 4-hour daily weekly? Yes. Okay. AMP. Yeah, people, this one's been getting a lot of love recently on Gemini, I believe you wanted to look at. Yes. And you're looking at 4-hour daily weekly. Looks like it's trying to put in a bit of a local low right here on the 4-hour, but I need to see higher term timeframes to really get a general view of this one. Okay. Yes. I remember where we left this one off last. We said, hey, look, it probably is trying to put in a higher low right here. Give it a chance. And I actually still stick with that. It looks like it is trying to level out a bit, and that's completely fine. We do see some signals of a bit of a higher low in place. I want to see a few more. I want to see it kind of grind this area out. I want to see daily TSI turn up as well. But we do have one strike of hidden bullish divergence there. You know, does it come back down and base around like 5.5 cent again? Perhaps yes. My strong opinion on though is that as long as it doesn't print new lows on this one, I'm looking at this as reaccumulation and continue with the long-term uptrend. There's nothing bearish about this one long-term, it looks like to me. Weekly, well, maybe not, but you do have a very easy bias buster on this one below last week low, which is actually just at 5 cent, which are kind of around right now. Yes, I would look at this as like a weekly reversal in progress, and probably comes down to like 3 cent, you know, with stops along the way. But you know, pretty easy way to kind of be biased on this one. For right now, I give it a chance to put in a higher low. Yes, there are some concerning signals. Yes, if this does print and confirm as regular bearish divergence, that's going to be pretty damn bad. But for right now, give it another few days, because we do have another 4.5 days left until the end of the week, so a lot can happen between then, and based off the lower term timeframes, I do think it will actually have a chance here too. Let's see, we got Crookface GPD, or sorry, pound versus New Zealand dollar. Okay, so we got pound NZD. Okay, let's see what we got right here. Let's go to OANDA, and you are looking at what time frame, sir? You're looking at on the 2-hour. Okay, eyeing a little downside move, trying to move out of my mom's basement, but might stay anyways for the tendies. You know what? That is a very mature and very frugal decision, and you know what? I like it. Are we looking at a little bit of a short-term pullback? Yeah, I'd say very, very likely back down to about 197.5 or so, or 197.6 region. Could it go more than that? It very easily could, actually, because I wouldn't mind another base down around about 197 region. But of course, you know, first things first, short-term move, I think that's a lot easier to get right around about 197 and 60 or so. I'm curious what the daily looks like. I know you didn't ask for it, but it is important to kind of look at where we are within the greater scale of things. Generally speaking, this one is bullish here, but I would be looking for, I really want to be looking for this one, at least today, if you are short-term, which sounds like you are. I'd be looking for a bit of a bounce right around about 197 and a half, maybe slightly lower than there. This one is obviously in an uptrend on the daily, so that's fine. Weekly is a lot more weird looking, actually. I'm not a humongous fan of this chart, not because it's bad or good. It's just I don't have a strong opinion on it. If anything, I mean, it does look like it's a little bit of a reversal in progress, but certainly not conclusive. I know you didn't ask about that anyways, but yeah, looking at the 4-hour short-term down, I would agree with that. And then I'd be looking for a little bit of a base around that target that we just spoke about. Mario Mara says, hey sir, what's up, sir? Can you take a look at NVIDIA? Yes, absolutely. Is it a top? No, it could never be a top. NVDA hey Mark, have you Mr. Plums, have you sent out your GPU to Mr. Rowe just yet? Have you handed it over? Because that's going to be God damn, those conversations are too good. Is this a top right now? No, I'd not say so. There's nothing toppy about the daily just yet. I mean, this is continuation first and foremost. Yeah, the chart's ridiculous. Yeah, the chart is absolutely extended. Yeah, the chart is probably going to have a massive pullback at some point, but does it happen from this exact point right here? I wouldn't say so, no. Looking at the weekly, is that what a top looks like? No, at least not in this current posturing. What about a monthly? This would also not strike me as a top as well. I think that this one prints some new all-time highs before you do see the inevitable happen. Let's see, could we maybe come up with some areas of interest here? I mean, this is like really in the throes of a parabolic rally, so it's pretty much already hit the majority of what my targets would be long-term based off the prior consolidation. You know, maybe it guns for like 900 or 925. I don't know, man. These things can get more and more ridiculous. But if your general question is just do we have a top in right now? No, I would not say so. It maybe short term, like on an hourly. No, I wouldn't even say so there. It's still a continuation. Again, this one will reverse at some point, as will everything, but for now, still okay. Oh, Bitcoin, are you going to try to put in a bit of a higher low right here? Hey, we got some resembling a little bit of interest here, finally. little bit of interest, just barely. We're definitely splitting hairs right now, but hey, you got to start with, you got to start with what you got, I suppose. Anyways, do I have my alerts on? I do have my alerts on, but it's not giving me any sound. That's weird. Crispy says, favorite altcoins. I don't have any. Okay. It's not that I don't have any favorite altcoins, but I suspect that your real question is, what altcoins do you hold? I don't hold any altcoins to shoot you direct. I kind of like to keep it that way because a lot of these streams are mostly looking at altcoins for the most part, and I think it's good to like remain just not biased in that case, like by holding a position in them. And then also I'm just look, I'm not saying that all altcoins are bad. Most of them are fucking bad. Like 90 to 95% of them are going to be completely worthless, completely irrelevant in 5 to 10 years. Now, there's going to be a small minority that are going to be massively successful. Do I have the insight as to what they are? No, I don't. I don't spend my time doing that. I'm just a simple trader, man. I don't have any training in fundamental analysis besides like some very basic stuff, which you probably know more than me if you spent even just a few months studying. So I'm just not the good person to ask about that. If you want to learn about altcoins, Elio Trades is the guy to go to, man. He's going to know them. I think Kevin Svensson also goes over a lot of altcoins as well. So you're asking the wrong person, sir. I don't have any good information to give you. Anyways, what you are asking about though is vet hourly, weekly, monthly. Okay, let's check this one out. This one did have a pretty damn good run, all things considered, in the past year. Let's see where it's at right now. Okay, so you are looking at hourly, weekly, and monthly. All right, hourly, a little bit of a bouncy right here. Not anything too interesting though. We did hit our target from whatever this was. Oh yeah, we did. Hey, every once in a while that TA bullshit works out, doesn't it? Ascending triangle target here right there. Pull back after that. Okay, cool. But I think we need to go to the higher term timeframes for this one. Daily is actually not too terrible right here. Yes, I don't necessarily like the cross between the 21 and 200, but I want to see how today ends. Do we end above or below the 200 here, which is about 8.8 cent? Above, I think it keeps the Bulaw's hopes alive for potentially a rally up, as much as like a 10, 11 cents. I'm not a humongous fan of this chart right here. It's definitely relatively weak in comparison to the rest of the market, but can we play out some upside within the context of a general downtrend? Yeah, I wouldn't be asking for too much, although looking at the weekly, we've already got a backfill in last week opened, and so far, not so good. Not so good. Monthly is also atrocious looking as well. I'm not a fan of this chart long term as it is, man. This would be another one kind of making me really consider that Bitcoin can not just test some downside, but really put in some real downside maybe over the next couple months. So this one's not going to be operating on its own, in my opinion. If Bitcoin moves to the upside here and maybe tests into like the $40,000 territory, then yeah, you probably see this one put in another anemic rally somewhere around like 11, 12 cents or so. But if Bitcoin shows any weakness, this thing is going to get absolutely fucking shreked. It looks like, long term, this is not even long term, but your real long term support is like 2.5 cent. You probably get a big bounce at around 4 or 3.5 cent or something like that. But it's really going to depend on whether Bitcoin or not pulls through here. If Bitcoin pulls through and puts the market in its backpack and carries it back onto the heavens, then yeah, this thing gets to join along as well. But any sort of weakness in Bitcoin is just not going to be handled very well, in my opinion, by that thing, and most altcoins, realistically. Manny Cake says 3-day bull divergence on Bitcoin. Yep, we identified that earlier, and that would be another point in the Bulaw's favor here. I do, but not on this chart though. On this chart right here, yes, we do have that. Lovely right there. And technically speaking, your target, or at least my target for this, would usually be somewhere around the top side of this range, or around the 21, which they are pretty much synonymous with, about 39 to 40,000 bucks region. So this is also going to be accompanied by the 2-day, which is doing the same thing right here, right? 1, 2, 3 drives coming off the lows, pretty damn good. Actually, 4 drives in this case. And same sort of target, a little bit lower than that one, about $38,000, which I believe is right in line with the volume profile point of control. Yes, it is. Hey, not bad. Right around there. So a lot of things kind of stuffed at the $38,000 to $39,000 region. Anyways, Scott Carney says Argo blockchain daily. Okay, let's check this one out. Is this a miner? What do they do? Let's see, where is it? Of course it's OTC. You bastard, you bastard. Let's check this one out right here. Okay, you're looking at daily, right? Actually not terrible. It's kind of a hard chart to read, to be honest with you. But well, let's see. Hold on. Is there another ticker for this? Maybe on a more legitimate, maybe this one right here. Let's see what this brings up. Yeah, okay, this one looks about the same in the short term, and this one has a lot more long-term context. Okay, this is good, this is better. Yeah, you know, I give it a chance to put in a base right around 113 first. I wouldn't get too bearish on this one just yet. Yeah, it does look like a descending triangle. Yes, you do have lower highs. Yes, it's, you know, you could very easily see this one break down, but I give it the benefit of the doubt until then. You know, same thing as Bitcoin right here. You got a bit of a range going on, 160 to the upside versus about 112.5 to the downside. It looks like it's trying to put in a low at the 200 exponential average right here. I wouldn't necessarily get too bearish on it just yet, although there's kind of signals going both ways here, it looks like. I'd give it the benefit of the doubt first, to be honest with you. Now, the second that it breaks below this low structure on a daily closure, below about 112.5, yeah, this thing's going to get absolutely fucking smacked in the face, you know, as does pretty much everything else. You know, I'd be looking at your next sort of bouncy bounce region at $64, 64 and a quarter, and then below there it's all air, man. It's all fucking air down to $20. And I'd imagine if that were to happen, you're probably going to see Bitcoin break down to like $20,000 or so. You know, definitely possible, but I'd give it the benefit of the doubt for now. By the way, that reminds me, we had something, yes, I think it was on CME. Let's see what we got right here. Okay, so this also makes me a little bit more on the bullishly biased side as well. Daily Jewel on CME, which is typically a pretty damn strong signal, did fire off, and this is actually, you know, pretty fucking good signal right there, actually. Now it did get confirmed a couple days ago, so right around here. So you've already kind of got the first push up to the tune of about $2,000-3,000 right there. But technically speaking, when you are looking at these signals, they typically do go for more. In a lot of cases, the 55, which by the way is again at the top side of the range, right around about $41,000. So all good right there. Let me get on to the comments now, as we are through all of the comments right here. Let's see, let's pull it up right there. Oh shit, I need to wait for YouTube to readjust. Here we go. It is zooming through everything right now. Man, it's very interesting to see, like, there's such a lack of interest in this market right now, which is actually a good sign that we probably are going to see a move, like a legitimate move, probably this next month, I do think, like a big one, that is. Anyways, I'm at the bottom of the chats right now. Let's see. Bernie Sanders is the president we need but don't deserve. Change my mind. This is a Wendy's, sir, so we're not really like commenting on politics here. You can talk about whatever you want, of course, but don't be, you know, smudged if people don't want to entertain this conversation, because politics fucking suck, and realistically, politics change very, very little. To be honest, to be quite honest with you, you know, it's better to take autonomous control of your life in the best way that you can. You know, take responsibility, man. It's going to do a lot more than any fucking president can do for you. I mean, that's kind of my view in life, honestly, is like, if you're reliant on your president for like your day-to-day activities or like your day-to-day health and happiness, I think there's maybe more personal things that you could probably take care of that are probably going to have a better in ROI, return on your investment. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, man, like Bernie is a grifter. I don't know if he's a grifter, man. I think he's probably legit. It's just, look, man, you can't look for the fucking president of whatever country you live in to fix all of your issues. I mean, the president is basically like a school principal anyways. Like, they don't really do all that much. Okay, they do a lot, but they don't like make all the decisions. It's fucking Congress who does that. Like, I don't think people understand that for the most part. Trading my food stamps for Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's right, baby. This is the future of finance, bitch. We're going to the moon on food stamps. Anyways, hey, what's up, Goofy Dude? Vermont is awesome. I've actually never been there myself, I don't think. Spiro says, you're absolutely right, Krown. San Diego is the best city in California. Absolutely, man. I was actually looking at property there too, just to see. And there's some really nice places. It's actually like still, in comparison to San Francisco, it's like actually reasonable. Spent a few days there and loved it. Yeah, man, it's that is the place to be in California if you're going to be in California. I totally agree with that, man. Totally agree with that. I fucking hate San Francisco. I fucking hate Los Angeles. I think they're so overrated. I think that people who love those cities, they probably just either haven't been there, haven't lived there, or they just watch too much TV. Food stamp coins soon. Yeah, let's do that one, man. Biden shouldn't be around any children. He probably shouldn't also be around the nuclear button as well. Not because I don't think that Biden's a bad person. I think that he's just way too fucking old. There's no greater like evidence of the absurdity in America, or just the fact that everything's fucking rigged, in the sense that our two choices out of 350 million people, there's about 350 million people in America, our two fucking choices are Biden and Trump. What the fuck? How the fuck did that happen? 350 million people, these are our two best choices? Our two best fucking choices? Yeah, I don't buy that for a goddamn second. It's so fucking silly to me, man, too, because like, how did America start? America started by breaking off from Britain, trying to get away from like the kings and monarchies and whatnot, you know, that sort of bullshit. And what do we do when we basically created our democracy and are able to vote our own people into power? What do? We vote in Clintons multiple times. We vote in Bushes multiple times. We vote in, well, Trump's, you know, going to probably run again as well. Like, it's just the same fucking families. It's just the same fucking families running again and again. And I think Obama's my wife might run as well. I'm not even saying that these people are bad people, but like, how does it happen where like the same fucking families are at the pole positions for running for these positions of power every goddamn time? Really, 350 million fucking people, and this is like this is how it works out every time? What? How does that happen? How does that fucking happen? I want to know, man. I want goddamn answers. I do have a sick pleasure in watching the Biden fuck up videos. Again, not because I hate him, man. It's just funny to like, okay, look, I fuck up my speech all the time, but I also do not have control of a nuclear button, and I also don't have to, you know, talk to other heads of state like Putin. Could you imagine being in the room between those two and they're like talking? It goes like, you know, the thing, and you know, you should not do this, and you know, Putin, blah, blah, blah. It's like, what the fuck? I speak English and I don't even understand what the fuck he's saying half the time. It's like, what are you getting to, sir? What the fuck he's getting to? Mr. Putin. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Putin either. I mean, whenever you talk about politics, it's like, oh, you said something about Trump? Fuck you. You said something bad about Biden? Fuck you. It's like, what the hell? I think they're both pretty shitty options, honestly. Like, goddamn. How about VP laughing all the time? You talking about Kamala? I don't know, man. Her history kind of scares me. She's apparently putting a lot of people in jail for things that apparently she knew that like they didn't actually do, which is kind of sick. Like that's like pretty evil, honestly. That's pretty fucking evil now. Anyways, Cardano USD. Yeah, let's do this one. Let's see what we got running over here. Stop talking about stupid ass politics and talk about shit that also doesn't matter, like cryptocurrencies. Cardano, another one that's kind of playing a lot more alongside of Bitcoin here. I do see a few good things going on. We do see daily TSI turning up. It is in the bearish bias zone, so it's not like the best thing of all time. Here's what I want to see on Cardano to get a little bit more confident on this one. I want to see it take out yesterday's high. It really hasn't done anything of particular note to me right here just yet. It's kind of still in limbo. It did close on a slightly higher high than this right here, but that's not meaningful in my opinion. If we take out the prior high of yesterday, I would look for this one to actually put in a decent rally back up to about 155, 160-ish territory. I probably have it marked off right here. Hey, yeah, right around there. Let's see, maybe the short-term timeframes have a little bit more to give. Similar to Bitcoin, trying to put in a higher low in the 4-hour. Still remains to be seen though. Volatility very, very low right now. So we're probably looking for expansion today or tomorrow. And that will resolve this range, whether it be below the prior low, which would obviously make me bearish below 131, you know, be getting continuation back down to like 120, maybe even 110. By the same token, anywhere above yesterday's high, or even just a 4-hour closing higher high above like 139, and I'd start to extend the targets back up. Short term would be 146 in some odd change, but realistically, I'd be looking for it to come back up towards about 155, 160-ish region. Would look okay. Still, the weekly is probably one of the better charts in cryptocurrency land. You know, this one has been maintaining above the 21 exponential average for the whole time on the weekly, which is generally a good sign. So let's see, how is this one actually coming into the monthly closure? Not really giving us too much right here. It's neither bullish nor bearish in my opinion. Kind of just sideways and boring as fuck. Quarterly does not look too hot, but I'm curious how this one looks like on my trending charts over here. Let's see how this looks like on a monthly on this chart. This would be very interesting. Monthly is actually still below the top side trailing band, so we're definitely not trending right now. At best, we are consolidating sideways, and I think that's pretty obvious with price action, but that will lead into biases for the next month. Quarterly doesn't even have enough data here to really populate, so not of too much use. Maybe we can go to like a bi-weekly and cut it somewhere in the middle. Yeah, still not gonna be too much as far as a general bias go. I do like these wicks below. Of course, the low $1-ish region does imply a little bit of accumulation going on right there. But again, if Bitcoin breaks down, everything else is gonna break down alongside with it. So that's what I have to say about that. But, I do want to go over this one more time with the biweekly MACD. Remember, we did cross down over here, and I did forget to mention this on Elliot's channel yesterday, which I really wish that I did, because this one's honestly one of the bigger ones for me for, further downside continuation. But all iterations where we have seen the biweekly MACD cross the downside, I mean, that's been, well, over here, 2014, 2018, 2019. What is this? Same thing, same thing right here, base off the 21, bounce up into the 9. It's a bull trap, comes down to the 55, breaks even lower. Same thing over here, bounce off the 20, into the 9, comes down to the 55, breaks lower. Same thing over here, bounce off the 20, up above the 9, turns into a bull trap, base on the 55, and then lower. What are we doing right now? We're basing on the 20 simple. So technically speaking, if you are following this, or if you're looking for something relatively similar, you're looking for next rally, probably up into like the mid 40s-ish region, perhaps. Probably rejects, and then bases on the 55, which is about 23,500 right now, and then eventually breaks lower. Not saying that it's always going to work out like that. Obviously, at some point we will get a different iteration, but until that happens, though, the old saying applies, right? This time is definitely different, right? Until we actually get that. At some point it will be different, to be fair, but that is why the trend is your friend until the end of the trend. And right now the trend has not ended, unfortunately. So I do want to reiterate, there actually are significantly more bearish things on the table than bullish things as far as the macro scale goes. Even just for fuck's sake right here, we still have a downtrend obviously on the daily, so kind of hard to be like super excited, but I do think that Bitcoin has a chance here, and if I had to put my money on it, I do think that Bitcoin likely rallies back up somewhere around like $39,000, and then maybe we get a rally into like the $40,000 territory in like July or August, and that's going to be the real interesting one in my opinion. Okay, hey, what's up, Tokyo Channel? What's up, man? Got my COVID shot today. How you feeling, dude? Could you check out USD? Yes, let's check out dollar yen. Okay, let's see where this one is. Remember last time we looked at this one, I believe we were long-term bullish. Let's see where we're at right now. You're looking at weekly. Oh, hey, yeah, there we go. Not bad. I'd still remain long-term bullish on this one. Does it pull back short-term to like 110.25? Maybe yes. That's not an issue at all, in my opinion. Long-term, this one is, or actually, let's go to my chart over here because I already done out. I think it was this one right here. Let's see. I'm on the quarterly, and this one's closing out as well. This looks very good. I wouldn't be surprised if this one over the next like half year reaches back up to about 113.5 to 114.5 region. This is obviously a higher low. This is obviously a very long form consolidation going back to 2016. If you want to specifically look at the weekly, I like it, man. I look at this as actual, as a break-in structure to the upside. Short term as far as the weekly goes, looking at 111.5. After maybe a short-term pullback based upon the daily, which, yeah, could very easily pull back down to like 110.25. If things get a little bit more crazy, 109.5, but ultimately, I like it, and it's the monthly, which is closing tonight. That really helps that bias go out. If this one closed above like 110.70 tonight, that would just be the most obvious thing, but for right now, even without that, it looks pretty damn good. Anywhere here or higher looks very good, end of month. Very, very good. Okay, all right. There he is, Mr. Derek M. How you doing, man? Harold Ramis indicator. What is that? What is that? Hey, what's up, Brian Davis? There he is. Let's see. Tammyism has a great comment. Remember, to all crypto enthusiasts, only swim in designated swimming areas when you hit the beach. Also, read the instructions on all laundry detergents. They are not for drinking as well. Yep, politics is a huge distracting circus. I agree. I think that politics are kind of used to distract, and they're used to make people to like get on teams. And once people are on teams, once they start identifying with things, it's very easy to manipulate people in that way. It's like, what is the news's real job? The media's real job is to make you concerned about things that actually shouldn't be concerning to you or shouldn't be relevant to you for the most part. It's kind of a weird thing. Like we do get inundated with a lot of the world news, and yeah, it's good to be educated and stuff. But first off, you don't know how legitimate it is, and second off, is it even relevant to you? Like maybe you're just wasting your time. Maybe it would be a better use of your time, a better return on investment, like reading a fucking book on something that you want to learn instead of like studying the economy of a third world country that you never plan on going to and you don't plan on investing in, and it's like just completely irrelevant to your life. Just the fucking I would totally agree with that, man. Tupac is Satoshi Nakamoto. I believe it. I'm in, man. Michael Easy says, Krown, can you look at pound dollar? Yeah, actually, yes, we can look at that. I like looking at the old forexes here. Pound dollar right here. And you're looking at a 4 hour, huh? Okay. Sloppy. Hold on, I need to go to a daily. Daily says down. Could it bounce up to like 138.77 before then? Maybe yes, but this is obviously a down chart right here. 4 hour, yeah, could have a short-term bounce back up, but I play this one bearish as long as it's especially below this little last lower high, which is 139. Weekly. Weekly is interesting. Weekly is actually very interesting. So let's see what the monthly says. Okay, monthly is very interesting too. Yeah, I don't really have a strong opinion on this one long term. I just don't have a strong opinion on this one long term. But short term, a little bit of a short term bounce probably does get failed. Yeah, not too hot of a structure right there. Not a big fan of it. Okay, let's see what else we got over here. The guy who wrote the white paper for Bitcoin is English. Real talk. News is out there. Like English, like from England, or he just speaks English. From my understanding, if you really do want to like know who created the old Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto, I think it was a group of people. I think the production of it was very likely decentralized in the same nature that Bitcoin is decentralized. I think that's very relevant to say. And if you look into it, there are certainly like more than a couple people, or more than a handful of people that do kind of fit the bill for, these people probably had a hand in making this up. And realistically, I mean, we all kind of have like some sort of interplay with kind of helping each other out and making these very interesting sort of potentially life-changing technologies. Anyways, how deep into this stream are we? 1 hour and 43 minutes. Jesus Christ. Oh man, we've gone deep into the Hal Finney. Yeah, I think Hal Finney definitely played a part in it. Or I shouldn't say definitely. I don't fucking know. We are dumping. Sir, you got to get off the fucking 5 minutes, sir. Look, are we dumping on the daily? Not really. No, it's still, we haven't even resolved like a short-term range. So I'd have to respectfully disagree. If you're on an hourly, even then, I mean, your dump was right here. There's $1,000 dump in your face. This right here is just a range, man. If you're on a 5 minute, you're still not really dumping. Man, it's going to be a long market cycle, my friend. It's going to be a long market cycle. If that's a dump for you, sir, you have, you got to be prepared for another 50% rug pull if that goes that way. Adam Beck is Satoshi, could be. I don't know. Ban him? Ban who? Ban who? Do we need to just ban everyone? Yes, sir. Okay, England English. Okay, gotcha. Crypto Mason even posted it. He went to court and won whatever. Okay, fair enough. These are things that I'm not the most educated on, so I would just default to others. Tim K says T Fuel beats C for our daily, please. Sure. Fuel. BTC. Theta Fuel. What's the difference between this one and Theta? I'm guessing this one's the fuel of it. Probably bouncy around here at about 11:30ish region. But what time frame are you looking at? 4-hour daily. Okay, that would be your daily. Long term, it's got a nice uptrend here. Very good. Whoa, what the fuck? Get this disgusting thing off me. I've actually seen that dog like legitimately fuck plenty of toys in my life. It's this guy's an he's a fucking savage. Anyways, 4-hour. 4-hour does not look good, man. So do we ground at the lows a little bit more short term, like down to 1100? Probably yes, but daily is kind of in a bouncy area. Long term though, do I think this one's topped out for now? Yes, I do think so. Yeah, I would say so. Weeklies, yeah, weeklies fucking nasty here, man. This one can reach a little bit lower, yeah, somewhere around 1100. Probably try for a bounce there, and then maybe the next few months comes down significantly lower. I'm not a humongous fan of this one long term. Maybe a monthly could help out with that. Oh, that's healthy. That's really healthy. That's really good looking. a lot of bullish Angus's impaled on that one. Bitcoin just shitted. Did it just shitted? Do you know how to spell shit, sir? It's SHIT. All right, let's see what else we have. Hey, what's up, Tunes? Hey, what's up, Tunes? Good to see you, man. Euro Thailand bots, please. Sure. All right, EUR, EHB. Let's see what we got on over here. I guess we go to IDC for this one. And oh god. All right, let's go to a daily. Do you have a time frame there? Where was that? Oh yeah, we'll look at gold as well. Did ICP find its bottom? Maybe. Oh no, you did not give me a time frame. All right, I'm just gonna go to daily then. It actually looks pretty good here. Long term. Short term, does it come back down at a range like 37, 80, 85, 86 region? Maybe. I don't know exactly what time frame you're looking at, but the reversal does look real to me. I really like the signature right here, just in general, and you're having it like very, 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 very immature within this consolidation. So this is a good time to identify it. You got a golden cross on the weekly, you got a weekly reversal, and you are grinding up against long-term structure as well. So I'd be looking for this one to trade sideways here between about 38 and a quarter and the current lows of like 37 and a half for a while. Maybe take like a month or two, but long-term, this looks like a very good base to me to mount an assault, into the 39 into the mid like $39 territory. Next major area of interest to the upside is actually right around $40, so maybe like 39 and a half to $40 where I'd be looking towards. Long term, obviously it's a very nasty downtrend, but the reversal does look decent, at least for now. All right, yes. All right, we can look at gold right here. Whoops. XAU USD. Yeah, by the way, Elsa, XAU is gold, just so you know.
I said gold.
Hey, you do. Yeah, you are learning. That's actually pretty cool. All right. Okay. So I was going to say that we finally got to move to the downside. We have not. We have not. I still think that this one might have a slight move to the downside, more like 1740 to 1730ish region. That's not my strong opinion. My strong opinion is on a bigger bounce from that region. Looking at the monthly here, I'm not a humongous fan of the monthly, but I still think that Bulaw's hopes are alive. It's kind of like Bitcoin. Best case for Bulaw's, sideways for a little bit of time. In this case, on a monthly schedule, probably test a little bit more downside coming into July, but I'm not going to hate it as long as it holds the 1710 low right there. And you do have a lot of structure built up before that, so I'd give it a chance to bounce first. Anywhere, even from here down to like 1730 is fair game. Looking at the daily, it does look like wants to have another short-term move to the downside. So yeah, I would still keep the doors open for that move to 1730, and then give it a chance to bounce from there. Below 1730, then things start to look pretty damn bad. But at least for now, I'd give it the benefit of the doubt. This one's been pretty damn boring. It looks like for the majority of this month, except for that like one massive downside move right here. So you get to do like all of your business in one day, and then boring as all hell after that. I mean, this is a bearish continuation pattern for right now in the short term. So short term, a little bit of continuation of the downside. All right, cool. Jack Assman, what's up, man? Good morning, Krown. Could you please check out Ethereum, Bitcoin, short and medium term? Yes, gotcha. Okay, let's see. Where is we? There we are. Okay, short term. Ooh, nice. Very good bounce. Okay, so we spoke about this one. I think you asked about this one yesterday or the day prior, and we said it was in a bouncy territory. I'm not super gung-ho bullish on this, but would I still remain looking for some short-term, medium-term upside? Yes, I would. I'd be looking for this one to make a little bit of an attempt at 6.3 million Satoshis for the next short-term pullback region. But if you're asking about very short-term timeframes, I mean, I like it on the 4 hour as well. Nice little flag out right on over here after a bit of a short-term reversal. Yeah, I'd be looking for this one to make a stab at just under 6.3 million Satoshis. It is in line with your last prior local high right here. I guess we already have it in. Also the 200 exponential average right there as well. I would be looking for a short-term pullback from there simultaneously right after that. And then does it try for a medium-term move to the upside after that? Perhaps yes. This is where you do kind of lose me on this one because I'm not so confident on it after that. This one's very difficult here because it's really going to hinge on whatever Bitcoin does, right? And it's not that it just hinges on whatever Bitcoin does. My ear is fucking itchy. But like it depends on like how Ethereum is in relationship to Bitcoin, obviously. So if Bitcoin were to start to trending, it does mean that this thing probably does come back down. Whether it be to the upside or the downside. If Bitcoin does range continuously throughout this $30,000 to $40,000 region, you're going to see this one probably regain some more. And remember, on the Bitcoin dominance chart, we were looking for a pullback there after the 51% target was hit. We've hit that, so it would be more relevant to be looking for a general continuation here after that short-term pullback. After short-term continuation, then a little bit of a pullback, and then medium-term probably does align for continuation. Next major area of interest would be about like 6.6 to 6.7 million Satoshis, right around here at this little failed attempt. You could say that this is maybe some sort of a falling channel right here. I'm not a humongous fan of these in cryptocurrency land, but they do work out from time to time. And technically speaking, or statistically speaking, I should say, these do have a higher probability of breaking out to the upside than the downside. You'd be looking at something like this. So maybe it does grind out the lows once again, but ultimately, I do think it's important. And I know that you didn't ask for it, but we do have the monthly close coming up. I'm not bearish on this chart. I'm just not bearish on this chart. Long term, that is. Quarterly, still okay too. So yeah, I'll leave it right there. And actually, let's look at the semi-annual. Yeah, it's fine too. Could it have a massive range to the downside? Yeah, it could. But I mean, long term, I do more or less like that, I guess, for the information that we do have. It's now a good time to buy. I don't know. Are you looking at a fucking minute chart? Are you looking at a daily chart? Are you looking at a monthly chart? Are you looking at a yearly chart? I don't know. How long are you supposed to hold this thing for? Are you holding it till the day that you die? Well, then I guess anytime's a good time to buy because you're not going to ever fucking use it. Are you going to be holding it for the next day? maybe you wait for the monthly close. I don't know, man. There's no way to know that information just based off of based off of like five words. No way to fucking know, man. All right, I think we'll start to wrap this up soon, though. We're already about 2 hours into this one. Oh yeah, we got Derek M right here. We'll do weed. Do some weed daily. Do some weed. Oh, some weed daily. I see what you did there. Okay, let's see. Looks pretty bad, man. At least for the daily right now. Is it going to try to consolidate on the lows? I mean, that's probably best case scenario right now. Coming back down to like $29 or so. Another rejection closed out yesterday. Hit and bearish divergence on the last daily high. Long term, it's kind of sideways trendless. Yeah, long term, it looks like one macro consolidation. I'm actually very stumped on the higher term time frames. I know you didn't ask about them, but short term, it does look like it wants to come down. What about the monthly? This one should help. Yeah, monthly's a little bit more downside postured as well. I think if you're looking at this one long term, probably like $22. But that's going to take a long time, I imagine. Daily's kind of just in limbo here. Got a bit of a range going on. Above range highs. Yeah, you can probably look for another move back up to the 200 or a little bit below, above there. But until then, you just test your range highs. What typically happens after that, you test your range lows, and then you got to hold your breath for an actual break. Daily TSI is technically up right now, and daily RSI is head and bearish divergence. So a little bit split on this one, to be honest with you, but short-term time frames, a little bit more downside implied here. Same sort of hit and bearish divergence shown right there too. So I'd err on the side of the downside short-term. OPF and Taylor says, "Can I see the moon phases, please, sir?" Sure. Let me pull it up right here. Let's pull this puppy up. I think it's on this one. Let's see. Do you guys think that they're coming after Binance for real? I don't know. All right, moon phases. We did have the Bula moon, so that means up only, sirs. Again, how much do I put weight on this? Like, not at all, but it is interesting to see that it actually has worked out pretty damn well here. Now, again, someone, Mr. Nimbo did bring up a really good point. I think it was like a week ago, saying that the reason why these moons are probably working out is because they are mostly pinned around like major economic or just structural trading events, typically like end of week, end of month type of stuff. Which would make total sense. But hey, it's still timing it. I mean, still timing it anyways. Yeah, looking at this one right here, you technically got your Bula moon. So there you go. That's it. That's it. Wrap this burrito up. All right, I think it's time. I think it is time. I think it is time to wrap this bitch up. All right, so how do we want to wrap this one up today? It's mostly a focus on the higher term timeframes, but if we are going to start off with the lower term timeframes today or right now, I would still say that Bitcoin is in the process of potentially putting another higher low here, and I do remain with short term, medium term bullish biases, especially if we can confirm a higher low right here. Where do we have higher lows coming in around? As long as we're above about 34,200. Maybe if you want to be a little more conservative, you move this up right around here to 34.5 or so. Below there, especially on a 2 hour, maybe even 4 hour close. Technically speaking, I'd want to use a 4 hour in this case. Then I'd be looking for another nasty move back down, probably like 32,500 overall. But for right now, I do respect the trend, as the trend is your friend until the end of the trend. And right now, the trend's still in there, I suppose. We do have obviously a monthly close coming up, and as long as this higher low is protected, I'm generally looking for Bitcoin to kind of work its way back up. Still looking at deeper targets into the $38,000, $39,000 region over here. Your prior range highs, of course. We do have, a few good things going on in price action right here. We do have multiple drives of bullish divergence on the daily, which you could argue, a good portion of that's played out, but I still think that there is actually more. 2-day also has 1, 2, 3 drives, and 3-day is confirmed 1, 2 drives right there. 5-day is rather interesting to me, mostly because momentum oscillators actually just got a fresh cross the upside back on over here, which I think is generally good, although it's not like conclusive in and of itself. But when you see price action like this put in a lot of wicks around a major area, it's indicative of at least accumulation within that time frame. So next move very likely does try to the upside. But depending upon how the monthly closes tonight, I can very easily turn on to looking to be a seller of any one of these rallies. This is certainly not all said and done. And if the monthly does close below, let's call it like 35,500, that typically does beget continuation over time to the downside. Doesn't mean that we still can't have a rally into the $40,000 territory, but it means that rally I'd be looking to be a seller on. So for right now, still I'd want to keep an eye on the accumulation distribution indicator over here as well. If you continue on with the positive slope coming into next month, I would actually feel a lot more confident being generally bullish. If we do not, then not good. It means that all this was distribution, but it only matters about slope on this one, and we will have that clarified in just a short 17 hours, 3 minutes, and 10 seconds. With that said, I want to wish everyone the best and the happiest. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. Some fun times, some good conversations, a little bit off the wall today, but that's just the caveman. Welcome to all the new people as well. Take care, and hopefully see you soon.
Write it, code it, name it, tweet it, mine it, stack it, live it, dream it, post it, scan it, charge it, send it, do it, and receive it. Trade it, buy it, sell it, store it, run it, list it, first rename it. Crypto logic. Pump it, hack it, lose it, dump it, sell it, ditch it, XR, pitch it, copy, paste it, nudge it, test it, build it, try it, bend it, fork it, hype it, pump it, dump it, rinse, repeat, but quick relocate. Pause it, list it, send it,